Hey there, everyone. How's it going? So, I figured what I'd do here for this rare occasion is to it, it's one do a commentary on this as an avid as a very avid Metroid fan, and send a message and I thought I'd send a message to Harman Smith and I thought I'd send a message to Harman Smith because I'm getting really sick and tired of his really stupid takes. Everyone else is, of course. However, I'm tired of him. I'm tired of him having dumb takes on things I like. And no, I'm not a fan of. I'm not saying this is a fan of Doom. I do like it, of course. However, I'm saying this is a fan of Metroid. Harman Smith here does not speak for Harman Smith does not speak for us. Also, be aware that notification you likely heard was my phone. I have it set to the beacon received thing. I currently have my text message ringtone set to the. I have it set to the beacon received. I have it set to the beacon received sound effect from Metroid Prime. Anyway, let's get to this.
That Nintendo absolutely won this June game showcase season, right? They stopped PlayStation, they stopped Xbox, they stopped Ubisoft, they stopped like the entire Marvel Ultimate Alliance of other competitors that were coming out trying to sell you on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC.
I wouldn't really. I would not go as far as to say that Nintendo stomped everyone. Actually, if you want my opinion, I would say both Nintendo and Microsoft were at neck and neck. Because both of them were showing off some really good stuff.
Right? Nintendo came out and just proved that their 7-year-old console is still like the market leader, and will continue to be so.
I personally think the Switch is in its own market. I personally believe it's in its own lane. And that's fine.
For quite some time, which is why you're seeing so many people like adamant that like, oh, Nintendo's gonna replace the Switch soon. They need it to happen so PlayStation and Xbox are in a stronger position, right?
People actually want it to happen because they actually want Nintendo to compete with Microsoft and Sony once again. And it's due to the fact that Nintendo is behind in. It's due to the fact that Nintendo is behind in raw power. And performance. That could be debatable. I could be wrong. And if I am, please tell me so in the comments. I encourage it.
So, yeah. It's right now people are coping and seething about this. I talked about this already, but
Don't you do that a lot?
I do think the big takeaway, big thing I want to talk about now, because I talked about like my general impressions of the direct. I talked about like all the great games that are coming out. I talked about how they're coming out this year. There's a lot of things that I have talked about, but now it's time to talk about like more fringe topics. What exactly is going? Okay, is Metroid Prime 4 going to be better than Doom the Dark Ages? Yes, absolutely. There is no doubt in my mind that Metroid is a far.
You're only saying that as a Nintendo fan, not a fan of Metroid. That much is obvious. Harman, you are not a Metroid fan. You are a Nintendo shill. And that is no secret. Everyone knows it and calls you out on it. Everybody calls you out on you being a gigantic Nintendo shill with their dick down your throat. You are not a Metroid fan. By any means. You are just a straight up... You are just a straight up Nintendo fan. Fanboy. You don't speak for us Metroid fans. You never have, and you never will. In fact, when it comes to things about Metroid, we actually actively tell people not to listen to you. Because you are not credible. Because you are not credible in the least.
Stronger, more relevant, more successful franchise than Doom.
No, it's not. I hate to break it to you, but no, it's not. As a Metroid fan, no. Metroid itself is actually far more niche than Doom. Yes, Metroid's been around longer, but Doom is much more popular.
Metroid Dread was hugely successful. Prime.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I will not deny that. Metroid Dread was very successful. I've seen the numbers. I've seen many people praising it and enjoying it and loving it. You know, I've also seen criticisms, of course. I unfortunately could not. I unfortunately could not buy Metroid Dread upon release. I actually had to wait a year after it came out to buy it.
And 4 will build off of that success to the point where I honestly expect that like Prime 2 and 3 remastered will continue to build off the Metroid IP. Will continue like.
I have no doubt that they will. However, I really don't think that they'll be getting as much fame as Doom does. As much as I wish it to, it won't happen.
Just growing the franchise to the point where like the franchise is no longer considered like niche, right? Because this has always been like the real problem with Metroid, right? Is that like the games are really critically beloved. You know, people love them. They are really popular Nintendo games among like the core Nintendo audience. But like outside of that, you
No, actually, Metroid is not exactly it's not just popular on the Nintendo audience. There are many people out there who aren't Nintendo fans that do love Metroid.
you don't have a lot of people who pick them up on whims, and you don't have a lot of casual players, and you have this weird tendency among like general audiences to kind of write off every game that isn't Super or Prime, right? I've talked about this before, but like people.
Uh, I won't deny that Metroid Prime and Super. I won't deny that Metroid Prime and Super Metroid have their very diehard fans. And this is speaking as somebody who had gotten into Metroid by playing Metroid Prime way back in the day. It was actually one of my first GameCube games. Like, Prime was actually one of my first. It was actually one of my first GameCube games way back in the day. And Prime is actually how I got into the Metroid series overall. And yes, Prime does in fact have its diehard fans, as well as Super Metroid. Frankly, I believe every entry in the franchise so far has been great. Every entry has its fans. I wouldn't exactly say Metroid has its. I wouldn't exactly say Metroid. I wouldn't exactly say Metroid has really bad games. Honestly, as far as I can tell, none of them are actually truly bad. Even Metroid Other M. While I do hate that game's story, the game itself is fantastic, actually. It's flashy, fun, it looks good, it's just that. There are no bad games. They're divisive, of course, and they're controversial, but they're not really bad.
People love like banging on about how Metroid is their favorite Nintendo IP and how it's so good and stuff like that, and yet like
Well, it is my favorite. Not yours.
every single Metroid release kind of goes underappreciated in the grand scheme of things, right? It took a long time for Dread to be seen as being on par with Super. You know, Prime 3 was disrespected back in the day. Prime 2 got a lot of flack. You know, we went into Prime 1 being told by game journals like, oh, this game is going to be terrible. Like, we were told that, right?
We were told that on account of the fact that people were very skeptical of it being in first person.
Metroid Fusion was attacked back in the day, you know, and there are like fringe fanboys who will tell you that like Super like completely misses the point of the original Metroid because it has a map, you know, like.
I'm not going to get into that.
There has always been this weird like mindset among fans that Metroid should be a very very specific thing, a hardcore game franchise for hardcore gamers, and yet they never seem to turn out for it, right? Like you don't see the blind worship for Metroid that you see for like something like Doom Eternal, right? Because Doom Eternal was like pure crap, but you're seeing
No, it wasn't.
a lot of people like come out and try to say it was like one of the best first-person shooters ever.
I mean, opinions are opinions, man. However, no, it wasn't crap. People praise it, and rightfully so. I've seen gameplay myself. I've seen how amazing it is. Have I played it yet? No, I have not. However, all that praise for that game is not coming out of nowhere.
And one of the best games ever made, and like a really good like way to cap off the Doom franchise. Like, oh, it's the best ever. Like, you don't see that with Metroid. And in a lot of ways, I'm like glad for that because you know it allows people to time to process these things and play and evaluate the old
If you're happy about it, then why is it bothering you?
games and have like a firm, nuanced opinion of what's happening with the franchise and the brand and the developers and stuff like that. Like, Metroid is just, you know, it's better not to simply not to pretend that every single thing that comes out is now like the best thing ever. The way that like PlayStation
It doesn't have to be.
and Xbox fans do. But like on the other hand, like it is kind of frustrating when like games like Metroid Dread do become hugely successful, do become popular. Like I believe Metroid Dread is the best-selling Metroid game ever at this point, right?
It could be. I don't know for sure. I haven't checked the I haven't really checked the numbers, but it could be.
And yet, is anybody acknowledging that? Is anybody acknowledging how good it was? How it has like the best antagonist in the series history? That it
Dread? Hmm.
has like some of the best gameplay mechanics, and it's like really, really endlessly replayable. That it's like very that there's all these cool like again, there's so many like aspects to Metroid Dread that make it spectacular, but it got written off for petty, inconsequential reasons. Again, like it's a give or take kind of thing. Like I wish Metroid got more praise for what it was. I wish more people noticed how good like games like Metroid Dread, and No More Hero.
I frankly am just happy that Metroid is getting a lot of praise for what it is. I'm happy it's getting praise at all because Nintendo, uh, for for about a long time now, has been pushing it to the wayside.
Heroes 3 and Shin Megami Tensei 5 were like those were all like games that were hated when they first came out, like a couple years ago, right?
I can't really speak on Persona or Shin Megami Tensei because I have not played any of those games.
But now, like I don't know, when I compare it to what happened with Doom, like people just like sitting there on their YouTube channels trying to tell you that like this is the best game, like it's absurd. It really is patently absurd, and it really should be called out more, if anything. I but
Call out people for loving Doom? Why? Nobody's saying it's better than Metroid. And if they are, then chances are they're saying that because they like Doom more and don't know much about Metroid itself. And who can blame them? Metroid's a niche. It's a very niche franchise. However, Doom is everywhere.
but yeah, like Metroid Prime 4, I think, assuming it's even just like a copy of what they did with Metroid Prime 1, because Metroid Prime 1 is still better than like the modern Doom games.
You can't compare them because they're vastly different kind of games. They're vastly different games. Metroid Prime is a first-person adventure game, and guys, most of the weaponry you get is mainly used to open up more doors and passages so you can get more weaponry, as well as more expansions. Doom, however, it's all about the action. It's all about the combat, the gunplay. For Metroid, especially Prime, it's all about exploration.
Assuming Metroid Prime 4 is exactly like the older Prime games, it's gonna be better than Doom for sure.
They can't be compared because while they're both first person, they are vastly different games.
Because
And which is better is all boiled down to it's all subjective.
those games had creative boss designs, amazing environments, like stellar music, great animations, all these great unique mechanics. Like Prime just really is an innovator when it comes to first-person adventure games.
Hmm. I would actually chalk. You know, this is my opinion. However, I honestly chalk that innovation down to Turok. I could be wrong about that, but I do think, but I do think it was Turok that did that. And I guess you could see I guess you could say I mainly say that because the same people that made Metroid Prime are also the same people that made Turok. Because Retro Studios is just Iguana. Retro Studios is just Iguana Studios with a different name.
Right, Doom. All you do is like run around in circles and like shoot, shoot, shoot the same generic enemies all throughout the game, right?
That same thing could be said about Metroid. We're running around and just collecting things.
But with Metroid, you're going through all these unique.
Look, Harman, I hate to break it to you, but look, as an avid Metroid fan, as much as I love, as an avid Metroid fan, as much as I love the series, I am not gonna sit here and shit on Doom just to prop up Metroid. I love Metroid to death. However, I also like Doom. I'm not gonna shit on the other just to prop up one. That doesn't need to happen. I'm not going to sit here and play dumb to what Doom has done right. I'm not going to sit here and say that all that praise is undeserved. That'd be stupid.
Unique environments, traversing them in unique ways, encountering like unique enemies. Like, it's embarrassing, honestly, how much better that like.
What exactly is unique about the Space Pirates? I'll tell you this. No. I'll ask you this. What exactly is that all unique about the Space Pirates? Aside from the fact that they tried to reverse engineer all of Samus's abilities and her weaponry. Because for the most part, our lovable space pirates have been known to be very, very incompetent. And many of them can be samey. As far as I can tell, as someone who's played the series, the only unique thing about the space pirates themselves are just their designs in each and every game and how they differ. Not every space pirate is not each and every individual space pirate is different. Just about all of them look the same. What makes you unique is how different they look in each and every game.
A game from 2002 is compared to like the 2016 Doom game, right? Like, it's crazy.
You can't compare them.
How much better Metroid manages to do the same kind of like thing. Man,
It doesn't do the same thing.
it's going to do its thing better than Doom does, right?
It doesn't do the same thing. You can't compare them. Stop this. Harman, there's a reason as to why you're seen as a common joke. It's because you can't prop up Metroid or anything you enjoy about Nintendo without shitting on everything else. Metroid and Doom have their cakes, and they can eat it. But what you want to do is spit in their cake while enjoying yours. We are not going to do that, and I won't let you. Take this. Advice from a Metroid fan. A true Metroid fan, unlike you. We're just happy that Metroid is getting praise and love and attention. Because for the past while or so, in these years, Nintendo has pushed it to the wayside. Excuse me. However, that's the case. It's okay to just be happy. Everybody wants to be happy, so just let it be. You don't need to shit on Doom just to make Metroid look amazing. They're both amazing in their own right. You can't compare them because they're vastly different. Metroid Prime and Doom, yes, they're both shooters, but they're a vastly different kind! They're a vastly different kind, and you don't get that! I don't know why the hell you keep trying to... I don't know why the hell you keep trying to compare them when you can't! Harman, I said it before and I'll say it again. You are not a Metroid fan. You are a Nintendo shill. Nobody in their right mind likes to hear from you. Nobody in their right mind likes to listen to you. Because every stupid take you make is brain dead. And it's just you pulling shit out of your ass. As much as I love the fact that Metroid is getting praise and love and attention, I don't want it to be at the expense of other franchises. So fuck off. Again, fuck off. Forgive me, everyone, but... Forgive me, but... I hate to be angry at times like this. However, I'm not gonna let my passion just sit there. I love Metroid to death, and I'm not gonna let it be soiled... I'm not gonna let it be soiled and given a bad rep by jackasses like this. Again, forgive me, please. But I'll catch you later.